Welcome back to GTD. Got the Formula One episode for you this week. No NASCAR because we're kind of in the weird limbo between the end of the season and season awards. No MLB for the same reason. We will be back with that once all your season awards are out this time next week. But we do have F1 this week. We are back in Las Vegas for the second time. Got a really good race first time out last year. Charles Leclerc was on pole. That was cool. And then came home second. So maybe he'll get a podium again. I'd be very happy with that. But still, right now it is the championship is basically over. I'm pretty sure if Max outscores Norris by, I think it's 6 points, championship is officially over after this race. So I think we see that happen. But let's go ahead and jump into picks for Vegas. Keegan, who you got?
First of all, I'm very excited for Las Vegas to be back already. It feels like this was not a year ago already at its inaugural race. Probably my favorite race of all the races last year. I mean,
really,
the vibes, the racing was better than expected. I know there's some temperature things that maybe help the racing. We'll see this weekend, obviously. But yeah, I just love the environment, what they did. There were some awkward moments before the race, mostly with Buffer and Checo Perez. But maybe those kinks will be worked out this year. Second time through doing all that. And I'm sure it won't be as big as a show as it was last year.
Do you know F1?
Yeah, but last year was like the big. I don't think it's gonna be.
They're doing that every year. They're doing
that
every
so.
year.
I like it. I know it was a little awkward. I like it. I like the show. It's Las Vegas. It's supposed to be like that. But yeah, you asked for picks, so let me give you picks. Max Verstappen. I mean, after the drive at Brazil, how could you not pick this guy to win the next race? I know this track kind of lends itself to McLarens, but I mean, no one's going to fault me for picking Max Verstappen. Let's be real. So I got Max Verstappen. Then I have Carlos Sainz, a track that we saw Ferrari.
Here we go again.
A track we saw Ferrari do well at last year. And Sainz, I don't know if you've been on the news a little bit and reading up on Sainz. He's a little pissed right now. He's a little angry that he's driving to Williams next year and some other top teams took some people that were not him.
And maybe if he didn't complain about everything for the entire middle of the year, he would have had choices other than Sauber and Williams.
Maybe, but I like an angry driver, so I have an angry driver in my 2 spot, and then Lando Norris, third, no explanation needed there.
Yeah, you mentioned this track lends itself to McLaren. I completely agree. They ran really well at Monza earlier this year. Should have had a 1-2 there if not for Charles Leclerc deciding to become the best tire guy of all time. So I think that McLaren gets it done this weekend. I don't know why I keep picking them because they never capitalize, but I think that Norris wins this race. I think Piastri comes home second, but I do think Max limits the points loss, finishes third. It's supposed to be a little bit warmer this week than it was last year, and part of why the Ferrari was so good was that temperature thing, and I think without that, they might struggle a little bit more. You might see them come home 4th and 5th. I would not be surprised to see that at all, but I think it's McLaren 1-2, then Max. However, I still think championship is over. I think Max has won it. I think Lando Norris is not 100%. Good enough.
Yep.
To overturn that kind of a gap.
Not even that. Max would have to do so poorly.
Yeah, you'd have to DNF like practically every race at this point. And so I just don't think that happens. Although, like you mentioned, Vegas, they did put on a very fun show, although not everyone liked it. There was the Max Verstappen quote of like, it's ridiculous. Just let us go racing without it. It's more of a show than a race, which...
You're getting paid millions of dollars to drive a car, bro.
I'm kind of on Max's side of that, honestly. I know this is back where I turn into old man yells at clouds, but I just... Let him go racing. Don't stick him out there on floats for 3 hours and like.
Once again, they're getting paid millions of dollars to drive a race car.
I don't know. I feel like
it comes with the job. It's called PR.
It's called PR. I feel like they're allowed to complain.
They're allowed to complain and say they don't like it, but quit complaining when you get a check in the mail.
I don't know. I feel like they're allowed to complain. So yeah. I'm fine with that. But then there was also the news of the Drivers Association sent the letter to the FIA of like quit treating us all like children, which I thought was very interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
It needed to be done. The drivers need to do something. I think we said that when Max Verstappen first got fined and penalized, and then you had Leclerc get penalized. So yeah, I think the drivers did the right thing, came together, said we want change. We're making you kind of force change. So we'll see how has the FIA responded.
Not that I've
publicly
seen yet. Not that I've seen yet, but. I agree with you. I'm on the driver's side of that completely. I do think you can tell that was maybe at least partially written by the head of that group, George Russell. It had a very George Russell feel to it, reading through it. But I completely agree with him. The fact that you're fining grown adults for dropping like 1 or 2 swear words on the radio in the middle of a high-pressure adrenaline moment, especially, my thing is, you're doing it for people who have English is not their first language.
Yeah.
And especially like you look at Yuki Tsunoda, how he got into F1 and started learning English. He learned English from mechanics, and a lot of the words he learned first were the swear words.
I was about to say, those are the words you hear in movies, TV, music,
so
the words you hear in the garage for sure.
To him, those are like some of the first words of English he's learned, and it's not that easy to just take that out of your vocabulary for that when he's learned it as just normal reaction. So, I don't know. I feel like it's just they're focusing on the wrong things, especially with how spotty the stewarding has been for on-track penalties this season. Then they had the race director resign this week as well. Well, resign, kind of got booted out, he said later. And I don't know. It just feels like there's a lot of a mess at the top of F1 right now. Not quite sure how they solve it, but I am excited for Vegas this week. I'm not quite sure we see the same chaos as last year, but hopefully we still get a good race.
I would agree. And like I said, I'm just excited. Las Vegas, big spectacle, F1 races back after a few weeks, and it's another one in America. So hopefully it's good
liveries
racing.
Too. Did you see the steak one yet with the flames?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, the bright green with the flames.
Yeah.
Alpine dropped an Instagram post earlier today. It's like a bright pink neon sign, so I'm curious to see what they have for this week. I hope Ferrari does something similar to what they did last year. I love the Ferrari they used at Vegas last season. Absolutely beautiful car. Red Bull, I don't think has something up their sleeve. They decided to scrap their special design because it was too much weight, which boo. Yeah. But I don't know. Should be some fun paint schemes. I would expect McLaren to show up with maybe a little chrome on the car, have some glinting vibes in the Vegas lights, but should be fun overall. Excited for Vegas. After Vegas, not too much left in the season.
There'll be 2 more races and a sprint race after Vegas.
We have Qatar Sprint, and then Abu Dhabi, and then we are done for the year, I believe. So
racing will be over with.
Yep. Racing, all gone.
And the Rolex 24.
Yes, Rolex 24.
But yeah, so that's all we have for F1. Obviously, no NASCAR, no baseball. Tune into our football, NFL, and college episode this week. And then later in the week, tune into our college football pick'em special. Some fun games there if you're interested. Other than that, we'll see you next week.